Well, when I was growing up, my favorite players, and this isn't in any order, because one week would be this one, the next week would be that one, the next week would be back to this one, the next week would be. My favorite players were Sonny Rollins, Joe Henderson, Dexter Gordon, Hank Mobley, John Coltrane, Stanley Tarantine. Who did I leave out? Did I say Joe Henderson? Yes. Yeah, and those are my favorite players. Dexter. Did I mention Dexter? Yeah. Now, today, people say, well, who's your favorite player today? And I think, my favorite player is the last one I heard. I listen to everybody. I mean, I'll hear a student play and go, oh my God, listen to this kid. Wow, what a different way of doing things. Great. So that's what I feel like today. Yes?
I was going to ask you, when you're practicing superimposing odd rhythms on top of four.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm curious about is whether you're thinking of a phrase that plugs into that space, or whether you're thinking of actually improvising in that space.
No, I'm thinking of improvising in that space. Yeah, because that's the reason I'm practicing rhythms. It makes me improvise. I can't plug in a phrase that I like. It gets me. I bypass all the phrases that I've learned, and believe me, I learned thousands of them that I practice in all keys. I don't want to play like that. I want to be in the moment, and I want to improvise. So rhythms, if I think rhythmically, I think like that. I remember seeing Dizzy Gillespie on TV when I was a kid. And I said, gee, Mr. Gillespie, how do you improvise? And he said, I think of rhythms, and I put notes to them. Now, that's usually asked backwards to what music education does. They said, oh, learn these notes and put rhythms to it. Instead of learn the rhythms, put the notes to that. It's different, There's a question here. It says, recently purchased your book, Melodic Structures. Do you have advice on approaching the material in the book to get optimum benefit? And here's my advice. This book is about tetrachords. Every chord has these 4-note groupings. From 1 to 5, then I boost it up to 5 to 9, then 9 to 13. Visualize the 4 notes. So if I went through and did a confirmation, just the first 8 bars, it would look like. That's the first 8 bars of confirmation, all the tetrachords. So in my mind, I see all the 4 notes. I can put them in any order. So that would be my advice. What is the one thing you learned practice when you were an intermediate player that changed you the most? To keep at it. Don't stop. Don't stop. And don't think about your progress. Keep at it. You're going to get better. It's just nature. Plants grow. Just, you water the plant. You water the plant. You get your plants and you put them out there. You water them. At night, you don't go out there and pull at them so they'll grow quicker. It doesn't happen. You just do your thing every day and it's going to grow. That's my advice. Don't think. The mind is a terrible thing. How much mouthpiece do you take in? The perfect amount. No. Taking in the amount of mouthpiece depends on the length of the facing. And that's where the reed breaks away from the mouthpiece. And if it's a long facing, I take in more mouthpiece. If it's a short facing, I take in less mouthpiece. I like playing slightly longer facing mouthpieces, so I take in a little bit more mouthpiece. But if I had to measure it, my teeth might be, 3/4 of an inch in or something like that. But my teeth they're not buck, so maybe if somebody had buck teeth, they'd even take, or if they were going the other way, it depends on your mouth. So here's my answer. Trial and error. Take in a lot and see what happens. And then back off a little more. There is a sweet spot. You find a sweet spot where you play on your mouthpiece. And And it depends, is it a new reed? Is it an old reed? When the reed wears out a little bit, you'll start changing. If you play the altissimo, you'll change. If you play subtone, you'll change. Joe Allard used to teach that the mouthpiece goes in and out as you play. I don't play like that. But he used to teach like that. You know, the mouthpiece would go in and out depending on if you were playing high notes or low notes. I just put my teeth in one spot and try that. And my jaw goes in and out a little bit. For subtones, it goes in, recede it, and for if I want to get a really balls out sound, you know, I'm pushing it out a little bit. Oh. Yeah. It says, do you change the location of, I guess, your mouth for different sounds? I changed the location of my lower jaw, definitely. Yes?
When you were playing the jazz band earlier, there was this one section, I forget which tune, where all the saxes came in real sonorous sound, and you jumped into the altissimo register. And I was just kind of wondering, is it that was to separate yourself from the big sonorous sound the saxes were producing, or just because that's what you wanted to do?
Well, you know, it's hard for me to tell, but a lot of times I'm thinking when I go up there, it you know, it has more impact. You know, if I play downstairs on the instrument, you know, just the trombones, the lower saxophones, the bass, the bass drum, they're in my range. So for me to have some impact, I'm starting to play higher on the instrument. Unless I start barking out those notes. You know, I love subtone on the saxophone, but when they're really cranking, my subtone's not going to be heard unless I have a microphone, of course. And so it's usually I'm just reacting to what I'm hearing. I didn't plan on it. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to play the altissimo now. Yes.
What makes you change mouthpieces?
What?
What makes you change mouthpieces?
Well, I was happy with my 8, and one day I was visiting a friend, and he said, oh man, you got to try this 10-star. Now, I used to play 10 stars when I was a kid, but when I moved to New York in the 70s, everybody was playing 5s and 6s. So I said, oh man, I must be playing wrong. I said, that's terrible. I said, you know, all my friends, Liebman, Grossman, Brecker, Bob Berg, they would all play 5s and 6s. And I said, man, what's wrong with me, you know? So I started playing like a 6, 6-star, 7, 7-star, until I finally ended up with 8. And so a friend of mine had this 10-star, and he said, you want to try it? I said, nah, man, I don't want to try it. It's too big for me. I can't play that. I played it. It was easier than my 8. So that's why I played it. That's why I switched. Yes?
Since you mentioned Joe Allard, I was perusing Sax on the Web the other day, and I'm not familiar with Allard. I'm pretty much an adherent to the TL armature wheel methodology, but if you know, could you briefly describe Mr. Allard's conception of the saxophone armature?
Mr. Allard was different than Larry Teal?
Correct.
Yeah, totally different. You know, you get that wheel, and the wheel hits the side of the reeds. So if you had a ligature, for example, and the ligature goes around the side of the reed, sometimes you'll see the reed bend a little bit. It'll kind of like go up like that if the table is too small. So when you have this other type of embouchure where you don't put your lips around wrap them tight around the side of the reed, then you get more sound. You're not killing the reed. So that's the biggest difference. Whoops. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Am I online? Barack Obama. For those who don't already know. Okay, so here it is. So if I wrap my lips around the reed, Now I won't. I'm letting the reed vibrate. So I could go. Doesn't matter where I put it. The reed's vibrating. So it's the no embouchure. I'm just letting that damn thing vibrate. Keeping out of the way. Putting some air in there. Trying to play in tune. Hoping I get a good reed. Hoping the gig pays a lot of money. And going for it.
Just remember that Barack said his favorite musician is Coltrane. So.
That's right.
That's right.
No, what did he say? He said they asked his assistant, said, what did you learn from Barack? He said, man, Barack hit me to John Coltrane, Aretha Franklin, and Frank Sinatra. And I said, man, what else is there, you know? Yes.
What extent do you allow yourself to have reed neurosis? You know, do you carve reeds and
Hell no.
soak them?
Man, anytime I ever put a knife to a reed rush, anything, I ruin that reed. You are talking about the worst guy in the world for reeds. If they play, I play them. If they don't, I don't play them. I used to have a mouthpiece that would play one reed in a box of 25. It was real finicky. I had another one that practically played every reed, you know. This one, not bad. I mean, it's and reeds are like wine. That it really depends on the sun, and it depends on how much rain they had that year, and it's organic. You know, some of them are going to work, some of them aren't going to work. Ever since I was a young player, I'd always hear, oh man, the reeds aren't as good as they used to be. I've been hearing that my whole life. I think that's a bunch of happy horse shit. They still make great reeds. As a matter of fact, there's more, RICO has more research on reeds than they ever have. If you go to the RICO plant in LA and you see how many different stations one reed goes through before you get that reed, you'd freak out. They have computers that measure like the strength in 14 different places, and they cut them like they use laser cutting, and it's sick. And I went to the RICO in France, where they grow the cane. They grow 800 reed stalks every year, 20 feet high. And out of that one stalk, if it's wide enough at the bottom, because very few are, they might get like 12 tenor reeds. They might get 5 clarinet reeds. Out of another stalk, that is. So, believe me, reeds aren't getting any worse unless it's climate change or something like that. But you just have to be, if they play, play. If they don't, get another one. Get a reed endorsement. But then again, my man over here, Francois Louis, knows a hell of a lot more about reeds than I do. I'm just not that, you know, if they play, I play them. If they don't, yes.
Question for those of us who accompany saxophonists and recording instruments or bass, what do you like to get out of the rhythm section? What is there? If you can make comments on what you're looking for, like your piano or your bass, drums.
Well, you want my Zen answer? Here's my Zen answer. How do I want the rhythm section to play in back of me? I want them to make me sound good. You know, that's not asking a lot, is it? But
You know, as far as like answering back, how much of that,
Well-
too much.
you know, learning how to play a solo is easy compared to learning how to comp. Every piano student I have, they all play great solos. But how many of them really know how to comp? Very few. Why? Or guitar. Why? They never listen to it. They don't study it. They don't care about it. They think, oh, I'm going to interplay. What about this? There's a piano solo, and I go to another piano and I start accompanying him. How do you like it? You think, man, this sucks. He's playing these changes. What's he doing behind me? Well, most of the time, that's the way we feel. So, man, what is this guy is like in my way rhythmically? He's in my way harmonically. He's a total drag. But other than that, I love him. You know, what I have people do, I said to this piano player, the freshman ensemble I had this year, I said, man, you're playing weak rhythm. Like it's not with the rhythm section. You're not playing with them. You're in another part of the time. You're messing with the soloist. You play after one all the time. The 1, 2, 3, 4, ba, ba. You know, it's after one. After a while, it sucks the energy out of the. I said, go transcribe Herbie Hancock on this record. I want you to transcribe every rhythm that he plays, not the voicing. Just transcribe the rhythms in back of Miles, or Wynton Kelly, or so and so, or so and so, because one man's poison's another man's medicine. So just do the rhythms. That's how you learn. I know Muldrew Miller, piano player, he made a study of how McCoy Tyner comped, how Wynton Kelly comped, how Chick Corea comped, how, you know, who did I miss? I said Wynton, Herbie, McCoy. You know, he studied these people. Bill Evans, that's who I missed. You know, he made a study of these people. So when he hears a horn player playing this, he doesn't see, gee, I wonder what he already knows what's going to make that sound good and what the person wants. That's the deal. It's homework, yes.
Kind of just to build off that. And so what you're saying is what I'm hearing is simple is better than being complex.
Bingo. During my solo, during your solo, I'll come up behind you. I'll play some saxophone stuff and see how you like it.
Didn't Sonny Rollins solve that problem about 50 years ago?
Yes. They asked Joe Henderson, hey, Joe, how come you're making all these trio records now? And he goes, on a clear day, I can see forever. That's not to say that playing with a piano player is fantastic, but, you know, it's sometimes interaction is exactly what the tune needs. I call it interference, and this goes with drummers as well. You can have high support, low support, high interference, low interference. Sometimes you want high interference with high support. Sometimes you want high support, low interference. Depends on the tune. Low support, high interference is rough, you know, but
it happens.
It happens.